Hello and welcome to Fish Fingers and Custard Explosion Away Sub Show, where we break down and discuss each and every episode of Doctor Who. My name's Don Blight. Joining me, Ashley Hobley.
Done. Fuck Conrad.
That's fair. Now, you know how the other week I was talking about how like Doctor Who's a family show, you know, kids, families can all watch together, but we're definitely the podcast targeted towards the adults watching it.
Yep.
Hurrah!
I mean, it is a kid. It's
no, but I just feel like the fuck Conrad is the perfect example. When kids are watching this, like, man, that guy's a bad guy, and all us adults watching it, like, fuck this dweeb.
I mean,
fuck this incel.
This season so far has been very unsubtle with its messaging, and you know, maybe that's what we need. You know. Maybe we've just been too subtle with the lessons we're trying to teach people. So, you know, get in there heavy-handed.
I'm not against it personally. I'm fine with it. So this week's episode was oh my god, why is my internet browser breaking? It's called Lucky Day though, from memory, and it is not written by until my Chrome tab decided to crash. Let me get back into it. It is not written by Russell T Davies, I can tell you that. Directed by Peter Hoar, written by Pete McTighe. Ruby Sunday faces life back on Earth without the Doctor, but when a dangerous new threat emerges, can Ruby and Unit save her new boyfriend, the aforementioned Conrad, from the terrifying Shreek, who look like the ghoul monsters from Ghostbusters, is what I decided they were reminding me of. The two statue like creature dog things.
The dogs,
yeah, that's what they were. That's what the Shreek was.
They've been on a diet. Yeah, less buff.
Yeah. Ash, what did you think of this week's episode, which is about 95% Ruby and 5% Doctor?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Like, you know, I was invested. I was like, oh, I'm so happy for Ruby. She's found somebody that, you know, is understanding and that kind of stuff. And then the turn happened, and I'm like, fuck this episode, fuck these people, fuck this person. You know? You know, part of me is like, oh, this is escapism. I want to get away from all the problems of the world. And then it's, you know, I understand that, you know, all of this stuff is recreating, shining a light on the most terrible stuff in the world. That's what this is doing. I will say, I don't know, like the Conrad, I know if I understand his full logic.
Well,
like, I feel like there's some flaws in his thought process, you know, like, we'll probably get into it, but like, he's keeping this, like, the lucky pendant thing, the lucky coin that he got from the Doctor all this time. So clearly believes the Doctor's a real thing. Well, why is he keeping it if he's so anti the Doctor? Anti-aliens and all this stuff. I don't know. It's kind of odd.
Well, I guess he's a kid. I don't know if he fully believes.
Or is it a matter of he's holding the same grudge against the Doctor that he's holding against Unit for, like, not taking him
on?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, you can try and make sense of it, but I think the point is it's someone that's on that level of emotional shittery.
Instability
doesn't make sense. And they don't make sense. And the fact that people listen to podcast YouTube channels and stuff with people like this is insanity. You know, it's the...
Why does he have a podcast dedicated to the Doctor if he doesn't believe any of it?
To get Ruby, it was all part of his ruse, right?
But you have to assume he had podcast episodes before.
Well,
She's not coming on episode 1.
Maybe. Did she
Come on, Ruby.
Did she vet him? I don't think she did. I think we could find out Ruby's not very good at vetting people. Also, it is kind of weird that she would even go on the podcast and just talk about the Doctor and Unit that blatantly. But
then you see people listening to the podcast.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that...
We've launched many podcasts. You don't get so many listeners on the first one.
I mean, if the title is... if it catches wind, it's like interview with the mysterious... someone who knows about the mysterious Unit and what they're doing with the government. And, you know, that could be picked up by something in the first episode. And off it goes. We need to talk about some more conspiracy stuff. We need to stop doing podcasts about pop culture and movies and TV shows. Let's start a podcast about how they're taking our jobs. Something like that.
An incredible right-wing extremist podcast.
Yeah. That's where the hits are. Even though apparently there's not enough years to get voted in.
We could do it like Stephen Colbert had his show. It's
What's
like
that?
he pretends to be a right-wing nut job. It's all like satire.
So, we're just doing the rehearsal, aren't we? Like,
yeah. We just play characters.
Yeah. We playing Paramount or
maybe.
I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was good. I too was invested with the romance angle at the start, and I was like, oh, that's nice. Like, it's few and far between doctors, or at least of recent memory, doctors with partners and long term legacy of that.
And it's also been a while since we've seen like the aftermath of a companion like coming home.
Yeah. Without the doctor being involved.
We got a little bit with the Last Doctors, with Jodie Whittaker's companions, with their companion support group thing. But normally when a companion leaves,
they're dead.
I mean, during the Moffat era, yes.
Kill them. Then you don't have to worry about people being like, why doesn't that come
or they're trapped in another dimension, or they're forced to forget about you, or send back in time to never be seen at any point again because you're locked off from New York City forever, I guess.
Yeah, we'll be timely climbing, No, so I did like that and I enjoyed it. And then once the switch happened, which I didn't predict, I didn't see that coming. I thought it was just in for a wholesome episode, to be completely honest, as I sat down to watch it. Especially by, coming in off last week. I was like, oh, this will just be the more lighthearted episode. And this wasn't lighthearted at all. This turned out to be, in some ways, more horrifying. But then when the turn happened, I was like, my emotions went, for good for you, Ruby. I hope he's last forever to stab him in the dick.
Revenge.
Yeah. Revenge.
Violence. I know this isn't a show that's like promotes terrible stuff, but
I full props to the actor because he did a good job at playing the romance stuff and made it like fully believable. And I was all aboard. And then when he turned and did his whole revealed the t-shirt Think Tank or whatever the hell it was, Think Twice, whatever.
Think Tank,
I was like, wow, now this guy's really great at playing a douchey idiot. Good-o. Yeah. But even like seeing Ruby with her family, I think in this episode, and just like how happy her mums were for her, and all that sort of stuff.
Grandma
gets pulled away from us, and then we lose it. So anyway, there wasn't. I mean, there's not a lot of beats this episode, really. So Ruby meets. Conrad. The episode starts with the doctor. And Ruby during their time together. We see this adventure where they like stop the Shreek.
Well, no, actually, we start. Belinda and the doctor get to 2007, where they meet Conrad for the first time.
Oh, that's right.
On like New Year's Eve or whatever.
Yeah.
They're doing another scan in 2007.
Yeah. Give him the coin.
The doctor's gives him a penny, and his mom's like, "You're a little liar." It's a super nice thing for a kid, mum to say to a kid.
Yeah, it's probably part of his problem.
And then we jump forward.
Yeah, so then he's older. He's now an adult. He sees the TARDIS or the police phone box for the first time since he was a kid. Follows it in. Ruby's. Then the doctor just think they've finished everything, wrapped up this Shreek case where if it gets its ooze on you, it marks you basically.
And hunts you down. Forever. What's something else that does that?
There is something else.
There's something else in pop culture.
100% there is. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, but I can't remember what.
It's going to annoy me.
Probably just Google it. But then don't realize that Conrad's there. He gets marked with the ooze on it. Creature's locked up by unit at some stage amongst what's happening here.
Yeah. Also, that segment is set after the episode where they go meet the Beatles.
Yeah, because they do a little joke about it.
Yeah, about.
I appreciate they try to make
John
sense
Lennon knows
of the time
piano lessons,
line sort of thing. But
yeah,
we then jump ahead to after the doctor's left Ruby, but before he's gone to get Belinda Chandra, which is evident by the end. In
fact, the Earth is still there.
Well, yeah, that too. She is doing this podcast after he's tracked her down, talking about Unit, the Doctor, all this stuff. Now, at this stage, again, we just think he's a huge fanboy and that his childhood obsession of meeting this mysterious man and whatever else has turned him into this huge fanboy, which would make sense. Or, I was buying it.
Yeah.
For what it was.
I mean, we've had stories where people have been keep track of stories of the Doctor and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So it wasn't too out of
too far fetched. Yeah,
too far fetched out of the norm. Yeah. They have the little after the podcast they agree to meet up again, go on a date. It's all lovey dovey. It's great. They go on a second, third, fourth, fifth date. I think they get up to whatever it is.
Yep. Goes meets his friends.
Yep. They go out to I guess on the outside the cities where they go with to meet up with Conrad's friends in this bar where the bartender's very rulery, I guess, Europe, Britain, having drinks. Now she notices, and this is the odd thing, especially given that we find out he's faking it. We see the bus light, I think it was, or something, flickering, and then all the lights
the bus stop.
Which I don't know how he could control that, but whatever.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's somehow getting the bar lights to flicker on and off. I'm like, okay, I'm sure that could be, but the random bus stop one was, unless you just go, it's a coincidence. That literally was a coincidence. And it just so happened to tie into what happens at the bar and everything, which I guess that could be true as well. Chilling with the friends, everything still, we think it's fine. Lights thing, calls Kate. Kate does a scan. She's like, there's no
nothing there.
Whatever radio waves they're scanning for.
No radiation.
She goes and checks up on Unit's prison cell, whatever you want to call that. The Shriek's still locked up in its cage thing. So she's like, yeah, no, everything should be fine. But then Ruby thinks she sees some shrieks and the lights go out and everyone's freaking out, and she goes out to investigate and Unit's called in. Kate shows up. They all come down. Couple people in suits dressed up. Think tank.
It's all a conspiracy.
We're all live streaming. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
Don't touch me. It's live streaming. I'm here to prove that this is fake news. The government's doing this. Don't look up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which does raise an interesting question. How much of the stuff that we've seen in Doctor Who has affected the real world? Because there have been multiple instances of crazy, weird shit happening in Doctor Who. And it's not like they can hide it on the news.
Mm.
Take, for example, the first episode where David Tennant came in, there was a giant spaceship over London.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking cubes fell from the sky, and that had, I've seen Cybermen take over cities and all kinds of stuff, fucking Time Lord become Prime Minister and all this kind of shit, So how could you not believe aliens are a threat to humans at that point with that much evidence?
I mean, I think that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely, it definitely gives the vibes of vaccine deniers, COVID deniers, any kind of extremist conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
The people who desperately want to see what's in Area 69.
69, is it?
No, area, whatever.
Area 69.
It doesn't sound right, but
there's a party in there. I think you'll find.
Yeah. So 51 is it?
Yeah, I think it's 51.
Yeah, Area 51.
Or is it 51's the fictional one and 52 is the one that everyone believes is real? Something like that.
Yeah. Well, if you saw Venom,
yeah,
The Last Dance, that's where it is.
Yeah. Yeah, so conspiracy theory stuff then plays out. Weirdly, the way it sort of then we just get this like sort of montage of stuff at this point where everyone sort of goes their ways for a minute. We cut ahead over what appears to be days, potentially weeks of this dude Conrad doing interviews and talk shows talking about how units
like
fake.
Yeah, maybe you're right. All the stuff that we've seen is like incredibly fake, over the top stuff, just so this one company can get a bunch of government money.
Yeah.
Because that seems logical.
His whole thing seems to be units faking all this with special effects and costumes, all these Cybermen and whatever else, to get money from the government to get money from the government. And they're using our taxpayer money to fund their woke agenda.
Yeah.
Probably what he thinks, yeah.
Absolutely.
So we have a bit of that, and then the other thing is like it is sort of weird. It's like he spends days, weeks, or whatever doing all these interviews and stuff, and then I guess at some stage he's got this guy who's infiltrated on the inside of Unit,
this sketchy guy that we've seen inside Unit the entire episode.
Yeah, who definitely wasn't sus at all
because he like puts out a list. He doxes everybody who works at Unit at one point.
He's all their dresses and stuff, and they have to take Ruby to Unit's headquarters and stuff
for safety.
So then Conrad breaks in. Well, no, he doesn't break in. He gets let in by Dodgy Mate.
Yep.
And the Dodgy Mate, and then Conrad takes a gun, and Dodgy Mate's like, "You don't need that." So then Conrad shoots him because Conrad's
fuck him.
Insane. Yep. Goes upstairs, live stream again with his little GoPro. I don't really know what his plan is at this stage, other than to hold him at gunpoint to get him to say that everything's fake, I guess. I don't really...
Yeah.
Something like that, I think.
Which is difficult to say everything is fake when it's not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very much like, the end of Pizzagate where they...
Yeah.
There was a rumor that a certain pizza shop had a criminal child pornography ring underneath the pizza shop, which was completely false.
Yeah.
Someone, came at gunpoint to try and save their children that never existed and were never there.
Yep.
Same vibes.
Very much same vibes. So basically, after all this, and then he starts, throwing slander out, but the breaking point seems to be when he accuses Kate's father, who was worked with the old school doctors, whatever his name was, I can't remember, but the original Lethbridge Stewart says he's basically a nothing and whatever fraud. Really pisses Kate off, and Kate goes animal. Kate goes, I'm going to fucking show this. So
before this, they had to move the Screech, is it?
Yeah, for some reason they're like, we're transporting him.
Transporting him because the government is considering possibly not funding us anymore, so we've got to move him to a more secure facility. So he's just sitting there on the helipad that we've seen in multiple episodes.
Perfectly timed,
perfectly placed.
And so she said, because he starts going on about the doctor, and she says, well, if he was here, it'd be better for you because he would stop me from doing what I'm about to do. And then she goes to the computer, which is true. It's a good point that I actually I appreciate this episode. It's a bit of mix as we're going over the writing and what makes sense and what doesn't. But I do appreciate that in an episode where they take the doctor out of it, they do go, well, the doctor would usually stop characters from doing certain things or talking out of it and whatever else. Like, what's Kate's, the doctor's not here sort of mentality. And this is what it is. She's like, I'll release.
I will go to
the extreme.
Whatever extremes I want.
Yeah. So releases.
And in that moment, we're like, yeah, go for it, girl.
Yeah, I have no complaints about what.
Because you can see where he's going.
Yeah. releases the Screecher, whatever we call it, Screech. Stalks down dickhead Conrad around the building and eventually begs for saving as it's about to bite his head off. Ruby stuns it, saves him, and then we get
Tases him,
tases, and then we get this great jiffable moment, I think, which is him standing up, and then of course turning back to at least your special effects got better, and then the thing jumps up out of nowhere and bites his arm, which is pretty good, I thought. I rate that.
I mean, you're like, it's going, I guess it's good that he asked for help, and then he's, has to submit to admitting everything is real and that kind of stuff, But you kind of wanted some sort of violent comeuppance.
I appreciate it.
So we kind of got a cake and ate it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got both.
Yeah. I appreciate they give that to us,
Yeah.
So then we find out he's pretty much locked up in a cell, going to be there for life, apparently. Doctor comes and gives him his visit, says that you're a piece of shit, more or less, I think is the shorter way of saying.
Yeah.
He tries to give spoilers, which I appreciate the word spoilers being thrown out, by saying, have you ever met Belinda yet? Because this is before that. And then the doctor goes ham on him and says, you're going to spend your life in a cell, lonely and rotting and blah, 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 blah.
I guess it's interesting to think, when did this doctor find out about this?
Well, I don't know. That's the... Yeah. Before Belinda.
Yeah, before Belinda. But how?
On the old TikTok.
Yeah, maybe.
Just scrolling through.
He came back to Earth just before we see him chasing around Belinda. He came and did this.
Maybe the fact this guy mentions Belinda is what sends him on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the theory.
That's
our theory.
Yeah, so. And then, Mrs. Flood comes in, of course, at the end of the episode, as she does every week. This time, she's the prison warden or whatever. Implies she's letting him loose.
She calls herself the governess.
The governess.
I don't know if that's like a thing within English prisons.
Sure.
Or it's a actual position, you know what I mean?
Who knows? But she implies she's letting him loose. Again. So that's it. Mrs. Flood's getting her... She's getting...
Get involved now.
Yeah, she's getting a team.
She's building a team.
Yeah. She's building her Suicide Squad.
Yep.
To take down the doctor. I'll teach him.
Yeah.
And Ruby ends the episode by talking to Kate and more or less says that she needs to spend some time alone to get her thoughts and life together. Which I guess places her now...
I would say maybe you need therapy, Ruby.
Well, yes. But it does mean that when we eventually get back to Earth in the 2-part finale, and if Ruby's going to show up in that, presumably, she will be somewhere else. She's not going to be in her usual London.
With her family.
And
multiple mums. And,
So it sort of places her outside that normal location for that. I have no idea if that line about what's her face going to Sydney means anything, but sure. I think that was just a throwaway line.
I think it was just an explanation as to why she wasn't there.
Why she wasn't there, and the actress is Australian, so sure. All right, anything else before we wrap up this week's episode?
No, I thought it was, good. I thought, Ncuti gave a great menacing doctor, which is a side that I don't think we've seen from this doctor very much. And yeah, I hope Conrad does come back and meets a grisly, violent, painful end. Like he comes up to some fucking Daleks and but don't believe your real thing, robot technology is so good nowadays.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay, just gets into a debate with the Cybermen and questioning their existence.
Find out in the finale.
Let us know what grisly end you would most like to see Conrad face.
I hope he gets his other arm chopped off. That would be fun.
What Doctor Who villains would you like to see?
All right. And on that grisly
also,
note,
sad weekend for the Sontarans, taken out. Losing all their jobs.
That's fair. That's also fair. Yeah. Here in Australia, the sun.
Yeah, here in
the
Australia.
Australian Sontarans. Yeah.
Rough weekend.
Yeah, rough weekend. All right, thank you very much for joining us in this week's episode of Fish Fingers and Custard. Of course, you can check out ExplosionNetwork.com for all the great things over there, including all our other podcasts. And we'll be back next week to talk about, what are we up to now? Episode 5, so 5, 6.
Yeah.
We've got 2 episodes left before the 2-episode finale. To put that in perspective. So there you go. Next week, Spider in space, it looks like. Whatever the hell's going on there. Looking forward to that. See you there. Goodbye.